Hi guys, I'm Beth. Welcome back to my channel. I have been working with Creative Fabrica a lot lately. They are a graphics and font website that I shared a little bit about a few videos ago, and I made some super last minute Halloween projects because I had seen some things on Pinterest or just kind of got inspired by something and thought, oh, I want to make that. And then since I'm making that, I'm going to make a whole bunch of these other things the week before Halloween. So I thought I know it's last minute for inspiration, but I thought I would share these projects with you anyway, and also show you a little bit about the website, kind of what it is, how to use it, and then how I use some of the images from it. I hope you enjoy my projects. Here is a Creative Fabrica website, and they have different categories within their craft designs, and then they have different categories kind of overall depending on what you're looking for. And they really do have an insane amount of cool fonts and graphics, and the graphics are great for all different kinds of crafts. They have great ones that you can use for paper crafting, for vinyl crafting. If you have an embroidery machine, I noticed there were several that would work for that. You just download it and use it with your embroidery machine software. There's infusible designs if you have an infusible ink printer. And this is just the craft section, like the very first page within the craft designs. And I've barely even touched the surface on going through these. There's just a whole bunch of cool ones, and I've downloaded a ton already. They also offer bundles, which kind of, save you. If you don't have a subscription, you can purchase a bundle of certain things and you get access just to that bundle. They offer classes, and the classes aren't just on like how to use their images. They have classes on different craft skills like macrame and paper crafting and different things, which I haven't even looked into yet. Then they have different discounts. There's some free designs. You can get some deals. But probably the best bang for your buck would be purchasing a subscription, and they have different levels of that. I do know that the All Access gives you access to everything, and it gives you a commercial license as well. So if you intend to sell items you make, this gives you the license to do so with these designs. The first project I'm doing isn't even related to Creative Fabrica at all. I just needed something to balance out my mantle, and I'd been meaning to use this jar for a while for something, and so I thought I would go ahead and use it since I'm making some last minute Halloween crafts. So it's a smooth jar, not a ball jar, just a smooth jar, and it had a little bit of cloudiness to it. So I had been meaning to paint it. I thought it would be great to paint, and so I'm just using some black latex paint, which probably isn't the best paint for this, but it's what I had on hand, and a sponge brush, and I ended up giving it 3 coats to get kind of a smooth finish. I have this label that was from a Halloween pad I finished off earlier this year, or actually last year, and I decided I want to Mod Podge it to the front of the jar. So I put some Mod Podge on the jar and on the back of the label, and I am struggling to get it to kind of stay in place since it's such a smooth, slick surface. And so you see me kind of trying to get it to stay in place, and once I do, I'm burnishing it down really well. And as I'm burnishing, I accidentally chipped the paint in a couple places. Like I said, latex, not the best paint to put on jars. But I decided, since I'm going for kind of a grungy Halloween look anyway with this, that I would just go ahead and kind of scratch up some more of the paint around the label. So that's what I'm doing right here, is trying to take some more of the paint off so it looks like it was meant to be that way. Nothing's a mistake. It's just a creative opportunity, right? So once I get the label in place, I do go back over the label with some Mod Podge, and then go ahead and go over the rest of the jar with some Mod Podge so that the texture is consistent across the jar. And I'm just using the jar as is. Like I said, I just needed some black to balance out my mantle. So here is the finished jar. So for this project, I am using an image from Creative Fabrica, and I'm using a house block that we have already cut for our craft shows, but I did show you a house
block sign from Dollar Tree that you could use as well, because all I'm doing is I'm taking my block and I'm tracing the shape onto my scrapbook paper. So you could do the same thing if you picked up one of those little houses from the Dollar Tree. You could just trace it onto some paper and do it the exact same way as this. So I'm going to make this double-sided. So I'm tracing my block shape onto 2 different pattern papers, and I'm making a Halloween side and a fall side. So I'm repeating the process for both sides. So I have both pieces cut out, and I'm using some matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to apply the Mod Podge to my block as well as to the back of my pattern paper. And this just gives it a really good adherence. It also helps eliminate bubbles if you have the Mod Podge on both surfaces. So I have like a little squeegee that I also got from Mod Podge that I'm using to kind of burnish it down, smooth it out, get rid of the bubbles, and any excess hanging off the sides, I am just kind of pushing that down as well rather than sanding that off. And I realized when I went to put on my image that I may have done it upside down, but the pumpkins kind of go all different directions, so I think it's okay. So that was my fall side. This is going to be my Halloween side. Again, repeating the process of Mod Podge on the block, Mod Podge on the paper, and then burnishing it down. And I think if you were to use the Dollar Tree house, I would hope that if you used the house shape to cut out both sides, that it would also fit the inside. But I haven't tested that out yet. So this is an image that I did download from Creative Fabrica, Home Sweet Haunted Home. And I'm just using some of the transfer tape that I have on hand from Amazon, and I will link that down below. And I printed it out or cut it out in some orange vinyl. It's some Oracal vinyl. And I'm just using my Silhouette squeegee to make sure that the vinyl is sticking to the block. And then that's all I do on that side. I'm going to do the same thing. This Hey There pumpkin also came from Creative Fabrica. And I'm just using the squeegee to make sure my vinyl is sticking to the block as well, just kind of burnishing it down a little bit more. So once I get both of the vinyl stains on, I'm going to go over the block again with 2 coats of Mod Podge. And then we'll also seal it with some polyacrylic matte sealant. And that just, gives it some extra protection from humidity, dust, all that stuff. So here I'm adding the first coat of Mod Podge, and then I do the second coat of the Mod Podge and the polyacrylic off screen. And here is the finished. I did add some puffy stickers to the Halloween side, and I wish you could read it a little better, but the fall side came out great. So for this next project, I'm using a black frame I picked up from Goodwill, some scrapbook paper, and I cut an image, a skull image from Creative Fabrica onto some kind of tannish, creamish Oracle 651 vinyl. I had tried this with vellum before, and because I thought it would be cool just to kind of have the hint of the skull, but it didn't want to adhere very well. I didn't like how it looked once I had it glued down, and I had used some glue stick trying not to see the glue. So I peeled that off, was able to peel that off and reuse the paper, and decided to go with some tan vinyl instead, and I think it looks okay. I kind of wanted that hint more so than the solid image of the skull, but it's good. And I struggle here with the little teeth. They didn't want to stick on I had used this transfer tape. I was reusing transfer tape, and the teeth did not want to stick. So I apologize for the struggle here. But I have done my downstairs guest bathroom half bath in skulls for some random reason, and so I wanted to replace the sign that was in there with a skull image. So I am just applying the skull to the paper, and once it's on the paper, it's good to go. I do use the silhouette squeegee to kind of burnish it down a little bit, and then I can put it back in the frame. And I'm not going to coat this with Mod Podge or anything. I think it's going to be fine since it's directly on the paper, and I'm not sure I'm going to use it next year anyway, so it's kind of a temporary decoration for this year. So I'm going to reassemble the frame, and it is missing the glass, and that's fine, but here is my finished skull frame. So for my final project, I am making a Halloween shirt. I wanted to add to my Halloween wardrobe a little bit, and I had found an image on Creative Fabrica that was perfect for me, Crafty Witch. So I wanted to use purple for part of it, and this is a black shirt I got from Kohl's last year, maybe, like either on clearance or serious sale. Like it wasn't more than a couple dollars when all was said and done. And so I figured it would be great for a Halloween shirt. So I wanted purple to be part of my design somehow, and all I had was purple glitter. So glitter it is, but I only had a small bit of the purple glitter. And so I had to kind of cut the design and scrunch it up in order to cut it out of the vinyl. So once I had it cut, I had to kind of go through and separate it so that I can lay it out correctly on my shirt. So I used my Cricut Easy Press there just to kind of heat my shirt, smooth it out a little bit, get any wrinkles out, and now I'm just kind of laying out my design, trying to figure out where I want to put it. And then I take my Easy Press and I have it set at 350 because I was working with the glitter, and I'm doing it for 30 seconds. And you don't have, I'm applying pressure, but you don't have to apply a ton of pressure. It works so much better than an iron for these bigger projects. So peel back the transfer sheet and voila. So now I realized that I had a crease in there on the R and was able to go in and scrape off the extra part of the R that wasn't where it was supposed to be. The rest of the creases will come out in the end once the shirt kind of settles a little bit, and any of the lines that are on there are just from the Easy Press, and those will go away once the shirt completely cools. So now I'm going to place the C and the witch, and I'm going to cover the RAFTY part with a Teflon sheet, and these I got off of Amazon, and if I can find them I'll link them below, but it's just protecting the vinyl that I've already taken the transfer sheet off of so that the heat from the heat press doesn't melt it. Because if you were to put the heat press directly onto vinyl you've already got on there, it could melt it depending on the temperature you have the heat press and how long it's on there. I am not an expert shirt maker by any means. I've made several, but not enough to call myself an expert. So sometimes I'm still winging it. So now I'm going to lay out the rest of my shirt, and I have the word witch that I cut out of some orange vinyl, and the vinyl I'm using, I'm not really sure where it came from. It's been in my stash for a while. I think I got most of it off of Amazon at some point, but I'm not exactly sure. And then those white dashes, like the little flourish of white dashes, I cut that out of some other scrap pieces, and so I had to do it in separate sections. So again, I covered up Crafty with my Teflon sheet, and I'm using the heat press again for 30 seconds onto the rest of the design. But I couldn't get all of that flourish in. So once I peel off the transfer paper from that left dotted dashed flourish and witch, I'm going to come back in with my heat press and get that last section of the flourish again for 30 seconds. It's amazing. Like, making these shirts isn't hard. It's just finding the right shirt or garment that you want to use, and then the vinyl that you want to use, and the image that you want to use. So now that I have all of the vinyl on there, I'm going to put my Teflon sheet down again and go over the whole thing just for like 15 seconds just to make sure it's all set really well. And here is my completed shirt. And then I also made one for Avery, which I didn't show, but it just says Happy Halloween with the widget set.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed my last minute Halloween projects, and I hope you enjoyed getting to see a little bit of what Creative Fabrica is all about. Thank you so very much for your time today, and I hope you all have a very crafty day and a happy Halloween.
Hope you guys like, subscribe, and hit those post notifications.
What she said. And I have my sidekick assistant here, Avery.
Hi.
Who wanted to be part of the video, but
Hello.
stop.
Wait, let me do these. That was so. Wait, you didn't talk about my shirt.
I know, I will. Well, I think I'm gonna have to do a separate video of you going.
What? Why?